Hi everyone. Well, I'm going to give you a little update on what I see going on with the Fort Calhoun plant, which is possibly under threat of having a nuclear disaster. Now, I know at times it looks like I want to see conspiracies everywhere, but I really don't. It's just that often it turns out that things just look like conspiracies. And in this case, what I'm seeing is a pattern. Like, this is the year of the nuclear disaster. Just like last year was the year of the oil spill disaster with the spill in the Gulf and the spill in Alaska and the spill in China. This year you don't hear much about oil, but there seems to be a lot of nuclear plants under threat, nuclear disasters. First of all, there was Fukushima, obviously, which is far from over. And then also during NLE 11, people started realizing that a lot of nuclear reactors in the States are built on fault lines, and they were worried that if there was an earthquake in the New Madrid seismic zone that maybe these reactors would blow. And now there's a new threat to nuclear plants in the US, and that's from the flooding of the rivers, such as the Missouri River, which is threatening the nuclear plant at Fort Calhoun in Nebraska. This is from June 18th. US orders news blackout over crippled Nebraska nuclear plant. They say that the plant suffered a catastrophic loss of cooling to one of its idle spent fuel rod pools on June 7th, and that there's a no-fly zone imposed over the area. Well, the CNN article from June 26 says flood berm bursts at Nebraska nuclear plant. They're basically telling us that even though it's been breached, the thing is busted, but everything should be okay. Then I found this article. This is from AsianWeek.com. Nebraska after the aqua berm busted. It says, like it was a good idea to make a water berm out of a giant hefty garbage bag. Some machinery at night punctured the dang thing, and it deflated, leaving 2 feet of water all over the place. A hefty bag? The dang thing busted? Some machinery at night punctured it? This is what I call the incompetence card. Kind of reminds me of like 9/11, where they couldn't scramble the planes, or when the Undie bomber got on a plane without a visa or a passport, or when Halliburton replaced the drilling mud with seawater. Duh. This thing is not a hefty bag. If you had a nuclear plant that was under threat from floodwaters, would you protect it with something that was equivalent to a hefty bag? Would you let it get punctured overnight? I mean, you'd think that if you put all the money and effort into it, you'd also take the extra precaution of not letting sharp, pointy machinery near it during the night. Are they really that incompetent? That's a scary thought, if people like that are running nuclear power plants. But I think there's more to it than that, possibly a smoking gun. In this video from Joey B613, 3 nuclear power facilities on high alert in US, National Guard called into action. You see this guy here, James Acton. He's with the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, and here's what he said. This is not business as usual. You don't build these aqua berms and then order to have them destroyed. That said, I think the prospect of a significant release of radiation into the environment is still very slim. Order to have them destroyed? Did I hear that correctly? Yes, I did. He just said that somebody ordered to have them destroyed. Okay, wait. Maybe I heard it wrong. Maybe he said, in order to have them destroyed? No, wait. You don't build these aqua berms in order to have them destroyed. Nope, there's no other way to look at it. To have them destroyed means to intentionally destroy them. I don't know if he did this on purpose or if he just accidentally leaked the truth, but it makes a lot of sense to me. I think that's very suspicious. But why would they want to do that? Why would they want to have last year be the year of the oil disaster and this year be the year of the nuclear disaster? Unless it's for their larger agenda of deindustrialization and moving away from the fuel sources that we use now. And what would be the next fuel of the future? My guess is it would be biofuels. Powering our automotive future with pond scum? It's very possible because, as it turns out, Bill Gates and the Rockefellers are heavily invested in biofuels. Biofuels are great for the New World Order because they're expensive to produce, take up a lot of resources, and so then that means that the fuel produced by it is very expensive, which means it's less accessible to most people, which means it'll probably damage the economy, especially when it comes to food production. Also, people will be producing biofuels instead of food, so then there's less food fuel is more expensive, people die, people starve, and the New World Order wins. Last year I went to the International Economic Forum of the Americas here in Montreal, which we call the New World Order Conference. And a big part of the program was all about green technologies, alternate energy, and biofuels was a big one on the agenda. In fact, they didn't even talk about nuclear energy. It was like, that's an old dangerous dinosaur, let's get rid of it. Let's replace it with biofuels. And okay, so what if people die and starve? And I'm not a big fan of nuclear energy and nuclear power plants anyway, but why don't they replace it with, free energy? Why does it have to be something like biofuels? And why do they have to do this giant psyop to make us want to get rid of nuclear energy? There doesn't have to be a real nuclear disaster. They just have to, well, there already was one in Japan, but there doesn't have to be another one in America. They just have to freak people out so that they won't want nuclear power, and then it'll be easier to get rid of it. Less of a struggle, like they did with oil. They got it to a point where the Congress was demanding that Obama pass climate change bills. And that's what the CFR had wanted all along. So that's what I think. I think it's a conspiracy. Well, thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.